Okay, thank you very much. My name is Abigail Mpambi. In this regard, coming in as a political analyst. Of course, on the backdrop of the current happenings where we saw Nelson Chamisa quitting the CCC. Politically, it has got a number of connotations, but the first open connotation is that Chamisa is accepting and feeling, and of course surrendering after the hit within the CCC. Is probably own-branded opposition political party, Chamisa Chete, of course strategically, like the ambiguity style called Citizen Coalition for Change. What this means at this juncture is that first of all, Chamisa's power is going to yet face a test. How? Because Chamisa is banging on the populist card, and of course the very same populist card speaking to the general constituency, the boycott card in terms of those in parliament and in terms of those in local authorities, and of course his chances, in my view, 50-50. Why? Because the people in parliament, the people in the local authorities also got those positions using their own very own resources, despite claims that the leader Chamisa himself had received support from various coffers of to support the candidates running up to the 2023 August harmonized elections. And surely we are back to the scenario of the Chamisa Douglas Monzola scenario, where of course Thokozani Kupe then soon after taking over from the Chamisa case, where we saw that the parliamentarians and the local authority candidates, and in particular those winning candidates and those serving councillors, found themselves in between a hard rock and a hard surface. This is what we are seeing at the moment. It will be very, very, very difficult for those who are not yet affected by the recalls to choose either to remain with the CCC administration, also faceless as it is at the moment when Chamisa is resigned, and or else to jump into the God is in it probably next formation, which Chamisa is most likely going to endorse. And of course we know that he already highlighted the issues of the DAS element, where of course those were we saw the Ostalos testing the ground about the DAS, whether or not the people, how they are going to be reacting, and of course seeking to see the public opinion and public perception, the emotions around the people, and of course they always of course beg on such issues. But generally speaking, I think in the previous interview it was a prediction that Chamisa was going to quit. Indeed, here is a quit from Nelson Chamisa. But remember, I also touched on the issue of saying ZANU-PF is doing very little to benefit so much in these times. What Chamisa has done actually is strengthening the ZANU-PF. There is always a notion that Chamisa is a more ZANU-PF than any other person. One will be tempted also to believe to buy into that notion. Why? Because each time there is a penalty set for Chamisa, instead of failing the penalty, Chamisa sometimes chooses not even to take the penalty. So what happened soon after the Thokozani Kupe, just a recap quickly, after the death actually of Morgan Tsvangirai, Chamisa needed just an endorsement to become the official opposition leader and take actually the legit opposition leader and make sure that he ushers the opposition into some era, particularly even with more chances of taking over power from ZANU-PF. But what did Chamisa choose to do? to refuse to go to Congress, leaving the loophole deliberately. Fast forward, we saw the Douglas Munzora Thokozani Kupe take over. Before we talk of Douglas Munzora, the Thokozani Kupe taking over after the court ruling. What happened? It was a simple, very simple, clear instruction. The courts did not take away MDC from MDC Alliance, from Nelson Chamisa. They ordered for procedural Congress, which obviously was going to give Chamisa powers to actually take over the opposition in a legitimate manner, leaving no loopholes. But what did Nelson Chamisa choose to do? Actually choose to form another faction, another CCC, a new baby altogether. What was the characters of the baby? It was structureless. It was formless. It was having the birth certificate of Chamisa as the identity. It was having his own bank account as the bank account for the party. It was all Chamisa. Actually, it was actually deliberately left for attack from any angle, giving birth to the Tshabangu factor. And the people as a constituency, they were of course forced in a way because of this populace, this charisma. Obviously, people really is loved generally by the citizenry, but they are following with wholeheartedly, some blindly. But where did we find ourselves? Probably in Chamisa actually post 2023 elections. We found disputed elections as always. We foresaw the Tshabangu factor coming in, which was an obvious factor anyway. And where are we today? Chamisa promises Sadak is going to come and redo the elections. This one they did not win. Wait, there is a surprise coming. Actually, God is now about to show himself. He jumped into verses and chapters. Well, as a politician, a pastor, probably where this is where his source of power is coming from. But let's come in and sober up and say, what's in it for the general populace, other than frustration, other than the raising of emotions, other than the false hope? Here we are today. We saw ZANU-PF collecting all the benefits of all this chaos that is happening. Today, Chamisa announced one morning, no, I'm leaving the CCC. What will happen to those people who suffered all this long journey for the CCC? What will happen? Yes, you can be talking of your own frustration, which you already knew they were going to come your way. But I think it's a frustration, it's a disappointment to the people, particularly in the opposition constituents. They feel time wasted. They feel, of course, robbed in a way. They feel, of course, disappointed. You can give reasons that ZANU-PF wants this one wants that, but there is lack of strategy. If anything, in this strategic ambiguity, there is all what we can call ambiguity and ambiguous, but nothing in the sort of strategy. Everything which is ambiguity is there, but there is no strategy at all. There's nothing strategic about this whole strategic ambiguity thing. There's nothing strategic. So at the end of the day, here we are. The people are confused. Some are saying, well, we will just follow Chamisa. The question is where to? What else? Do you think Nelson Chamisa is going to usher the next level outside the MDC Alliance, outside the CCC, in the new DAS? For me, I think it's a dilemma. The people of Zimbabwe, the opposition constituents, needs to sober up, needs to find each other on some sober grounds, on an agenda outside an individual. They need to find each other on an agenda outside an individual. And here we are to this day. Imagine right now what Nelson Chamisa is, or the implication of what Nelson Chamisa has done. What it means that he has surrendered even the funds, even the winning candidates. Everything now is within the structure that is going to remain. The structure, some call it Tshabangu, with the face of Tshabangu, the likes of maybe the diabetes, the likes of Welshman Mube, or we also expect them. Now that the Tshabangu has been claiming to have a constitution, maybe it's high time also they put the constitution clear to the public, and also define certain parameters for people to know where to. Because this is the disaster when people follow an individual. An individual just wakes up one morning and tell you, I'm no longer interested, I'm now in the mountain praying. Just like that, this is what Nelson Chamisa has done. Those who have been hinging their hopes on an individual, they are everywhere, waiting for Chamisa to wake up one morning and plan the next move. And that is disastrous for any institution. That is disastrous for any nation. There should be institutions. We go back to basics where we have been calling to say, let us have a strong institution, be it in ZANU-PF, be it in governance, be it in opposition, be it in our own individual distinct institutions. We need strong institutions with clarity, so that at this juncture you don't just move around and say, what would Nelson Chamisa tell me? The world, the people, the country, the constituents are bigger than an individual. This is the crisis when you bank your hopes on an individual. This is where we are. To tell you the truth, the opposition constituency, in particular the CCC house right now, are even more confused than before. Especially at a point when even the Tshabangus themselves, they haven't put forward a clear constitution and a guideline and direction on what's the way forward. I was following Kalipane Pugeni also ushering the disappointments that Chamisa has resigned. Let him resign. They've got rights to resign. They can choose to resign. There's nothing wrong with that. Because when you are there as an institution, read out the next steps. We want to hear the next steps. The people want to know what next. So we cannot be hiring people and spotting people into disappointments. Yet you are carrying a document that you claim that this is the document that should take the CCC forward. And the CCC as an institution should be indeed bigger than an individual. Nelson Chamisa going forward, I think he is actually also trading so much of his hopes on people's emotions. I think he is overdoing it. Eventually, he is actually finding himself distant away from the State House. Leaving me personally as a political analyst questioning if indeed going to the State House was his mission in the first place. Because, like I said, he would make sure every penalty set for him, he would run away from such a penalty.
Okay, will Chamisa remain popular after all this drama? And what will happen to candidates who follow Chamisa, who publicly come and say, me am a Chamisa follower, me am a Chamisa follower? What will happen to them, and where are citizens in all this drama? The voters, the public.
The voters are confused. They are everywhere. The voters are scattered, and it's very unfortunate to the individuals who still want to follow an individual. I think that personally, I'll speak to, if Chamisa has a new agenda that is selling, I would buy into a person who says, I'm buying into this agenda, than a person who buys into an individual. They've learned their lesson. We have learned our lessons, both in any level of institutions. Hinging your hopes on an individual is the most risky. It's very risky. You cannot operate that way at institutional level. And of course, you know that when an institution, when hopes are personalized, people are now like I told you, the MPs, the councillors, right now as we speak, they are on the fence. They are all on the fence. They are calculating. They are waiting to see if what the Pugeni and the Tshabangus are spelling out can actually survive them. It's not about survival of their seats. It's not. It's nothing. It's very well. It's actually somewhere very, very, very far from the citizen agenda. It has got nothing to do with the citizens at the moment. The citizens are left by themselves. They are in the cold out there. They are just kept on guessing. This is where we are right now at the moment. And the dilemma is exactly what we have been what we have been doing as the opposition. You know, there's an interesting scenario. These are issues of failing to have clarity. We did not even start it today. You would remember 2008. Morgan Tsvangirai, some say that he won in the election, some say he led in that election. Why did he fail to take over? It's because after winning, there is no strategy to take over. You listen everywhere, you go anywhere, anyhow. Until such a time, ZANU-PF has to create all sorts of shenanigans to an extent that they had to come back Changirai from Botswana, and they now begin to be shown, here's the option, GNU, look, you negotiate, you think of the morning after, when you've reached that very same morning. There is no strategy of takeover, even to those, even at those scenarios when as opposition we are about, or we have won the election. Talk about how Mugabe must go ended. The Mugabe must go ended, momentum ended with Mugabe really going. After Mugabe had gone, what happened? We all grasped that moment. Civil society was there. The opposition, very opposition was there. Actually, Chamisa confirmed that, oh, this issue of Mnangagwa coming into power was really God's plan. He really started the God is in it there. What happened after Mugabe left? Several years of calling Mugabe to go. When Mugabe went, what happened? We had no plan. Until Mnangagwa, who was outside the country through border jumping and any other sorts, he had to come back and occupy the seat. Then we started the new noise. We don't want Mnangagwa. We don't want Mnangagwa. What was your plan? After the leaving of Mugabe, as the opposition, what was your plan? Until Chamisa had to wear some cape and say Chinichedo. What was our plan? So, you see, we have just a hollow, endless movement at the end of the day, which has got no incubation structure of taking over power. So, at the end of the day, we could have seen maybe even a transitional authority. We could have seen some arrangement, even post-Mugabe, looking at saying the Mugabe must go agenda was an opposition agenda, was a civic agenda, it was a people's agenda. On the end game, what did we do? Other than waiting until ZANU-PF to come in, until the army also to employ tactics, until then we begin to revive and say reforms, and say, hey, they've taken over, they are wrong. Okay, if they're not taken over, what was your plan? We only have a plan to complain, a plan to remain opposition, a plan to sell the sympathy card. There is no end game plan within the opposition. This is why you realize that even Nelson Chamisa, when he's faced with the Tshabangu, what does he do? Quitting is the only option. So everything being said in a noisy manner, in a noisy way, at the moment, the opposition, there is no end game. It's like the opposition and the issue of opposing has become an industry. They are content with that scenario. I don't see at the moment, I don't see anything that is going to conclude into some power, some taking over of power. Probably we need to begin to bank on the upcoming generations, connecting the intergenerational knowledge and the skills, sharing, to begin to say, how do we build a serious movement? Because at the moment, I can tell you, Chamisa is busy making own goals for the benefit of ZANU-PF. And we have been all complaining about Douglas Montour, saying that he's doing it for ZANU-PF. My question is, who is not doing it for ZANU-PF? If you look at them all right now, if really are serious about the people of this country, why would you choose to miss every penalty set ahead of you? Why would you choose not to listen to the people, at least to knit up and make sure that people can cross over to the other side, which people have been investing in from 1999 to date? Now, quitting is the only end game. Complaining is the end game. No one is worried about saying, okay, let me swallow my pride. Let's join hands. Let me do this for the sake of the people. There is no sake of the people in this. So at the end of the day, I really think that there is a big personalized distortion within the opposition, selfish interests that are actually also at play. So all these scenarios which I'm putting forward, at the end of the day, they are not. There's no citizen near all this. It's actually wasting time. Just say next week we'll be having by-elections. Why do we have by-elections? Everything is the birth of strategic ambiguity. The strategic ambiguity which has remained ambiguous and elect the strategy at the end of the day. So we need really to sober up as a people. We need actually even to attend to some of our policies and begin to say, how do we influence this, the the sections within our constitution that gives power to political party leaders more than the constituent people, so that at the end of the day we cannot have a political party leader deciding on their own to recall a person elected by the electorate. The electorate are rendered powerless. You wonder why they've been queuing. This is why we have got apathy. Even if we call for by-elections, even if we are to call for next general elections, if cycles continue like this process will really run away from the people. Because our own systems, our own issues within the constitution, when we talk reforms, let's talk about reforming such sections which empowers individuals after a citizen process. So I really feel that there is a lot we need to do so that these politicians, as they said, they cannot continue to shortchange the masses. I really feel that at one point they look like sisters and brothers in crime, in my view.
Anyway, thanks a lot, Madam Abigail, for insight within what is happening in Tshabangu.
Thank you.